Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with another video. This time I want to talk to you about the ToyWorld, the TWBS01. It's the first of Beast Wars, Beast General Metal Tyrannosaurus Rex. This is, of course, the Megatron. I did get this at Show Z. It's like 45 bucks. You can get yours there too. It's a pretty solid figure. It looks pretty good. The transformation's tight, but that could be good. It could be bad. Let's get into it. Taking a good look at this box here. It looks great. Excellent artwork. It's their own work. That's the top of it. The side, more excellent artwork. And the bottom. But here's the interesting part. We all know ToyWorld and Zeta work together, but when you have the inside of the box here, it just reminds me of a Zeta item. And the non-existing instructions. I do want to start by saying that Show Z included this face mask here, and so yeah, it's really cool. I don't know if it was to be fun or to be serious, but the reality is I can't find a face mask like this anywhere in town, so it's kind of helpful. And some of the restrictions are you have to wear a face mask to certain places, so this is going to come in handy. So let's get into looking at this guy. First of all, I want to point out how good he looks. I like that reflective paint that's on there. It's almost chrome. A nice, beautiful purple. Now the rest, this here is not painted, it's just colored plastic, but it does look good. It's a bit of off-colored from what I expected. I would have expected more of a brown, but they're gonna put out about 6 different recolored versions of this. One of them will hit the mark just right, I'm sure. This is just the first one, but I thought the first one was gonna be the most tune accurate. I think it does look good though. The tail has a little bit of articulation to it, and we have die-cast. Die-cast. Same thing with the feet. There's die-cast in the feet. And then I'm going to show that other mode here in just a second. And looking with the legs. In this mode, he does have a little bit of articulation. I would say like more than a 90, but it doesn't really work quite like you'd think. Of course, it is the same legs, but they're positioned different, so it doesn't work the same. You do have these little T-Rex arms moving on a ball joint, so they get quite a bit of articulation. And you see he has a tongue, his tongue's sticking out, and a movable jaw. Not much articulation with the head. Very little head articulation at all. And that's about it for this mode. Let's get him into his roller Dino mode. So his feet fold forward into the roller skates, and you can do this with him. You simply just fold the feet up. The feet up, and then you move these out. Now these are articulated, so you can do whatever you want with them, and then they would fold back down. So this mode's not something I would do very often, and it's really hard to balance them in this mode, but the mode does exist. So just put them all back by putting all these parts back and just folding the feet, or I guess I invented a word, feets, back down. You got him right back to that mode. So I'm going to compare him to Optimus Prime. So this is Magic Square, and then that is New Age Megatron. And looking at those, that's a decent height. And when you think about it, like there's not much else in Beast Wars to compare it to, except for one other figure I have. And you're also going to get this guy repainted as Grimlock. So they're going to use him as a Grimlock mold, which I could sort of see, and it could work, and it'd be okay. Here he is next to Iron Factory, New Age. Is that New Age? Monero? They're Jazz. And next to Transform Elements version of Black Arachnia. So you can kind of see the size. That does fit. It's almost like these companies are working together in Beast Wars, as opposed to working against each other for the G1 Legends. And here they are next to the Transform Element Prime. Some people have the idea, and I think it might be true, that these are really the true masterpiece scale of Beast Wars. If we saw the one episode, it shows the size difference, but is that true? Well, that'd be pretty cool. So let's get this guy transformed. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift these back pieces here up. I want to lift that up and remove the tail weapon. So we get this whole assembly out of the way there. We're going to lift this black piece up that's connected to the Dino head. While moving these pieces, it's a bit of a challenge. And the arms might pop off in the process. So we slide those pieces out like that. Pull the Dino head out. You see there's like a little ridge in there that holds underneath that flap. So now with that out, we can start putting all this back together. So we're going to lift this up, and that's going to expose the arms that can come out. Arms out. And then with that, we're going to spin, well, all this stuff around here. And now we need to put basically the Dino head more or less inside of there. So we have to open, there's the Dino head. We need to open this up, these flaps here, put the Dino head into there, and then fold it all in. Like so. That works. Gets the job done. Now with these pieces, these flaps will fold in, and then with the arms fully cleared, we're going to put the shoulder pads down, and that shoulder pad should work. And then we need to lift this whole mechanism up, and we have the back part. Now the back part's going to stay back in the back. Now we need to rotate the pelvis around. So it's like a double rotation going on all the time there. Now that's pretty much the transformation. Going from Dino to bot is a lot easier than going from bot to Dino. I have to admit that. I wholeheartedly admit that. But there he is. Let's have a good look at him in his robot mode. Now the artwork, since I have no instructions, the artwork shows this on his right hand. See right here, you see it on his right hand, and with those spikes downward, and then it just slides on and holds in place really well actually. So it's a friction joint right there, and so with that you have his kind of claw right there at the edge of his tail, and that is die cast. It works really well with a little bit of articulation, and he does have this area here is painted, and painted really well. You see these eyes on his chest painted. Down here in this area, I don't think down here is painted. Just the middle of that chest. And then this is regular. That's beautiful paint like it was before. There he is on the back. And with this, you could probably move these pieces a little further back, but that's probably as far as I would want to go with it. But it looks good. Now, for articulation, you got the head. And let's see if we can see that head. That's Megatron. That's Beast Wars Megatron for sure. Up, down, all around on a ball joint. The arm can go almost to a 90, and you're restricted with all the kibble. You do have rotation at the. It's really tight. You have rotation at the shoulder. You get 90, well past the 90 for the transformation, and you do have, and it's real tight, but you do have. You can see a mushroom peg. You have articulation, full 360 articulation on the hand. You have a lot you can do with the hip. It goes out to about there, back and front to a 90. And then you do have that universal, I guess you would call it, right at the hip, but nothing like lower than that. And then you do have, what I showed you was double hinged knee. You do have ankle rockers and pivots. So rockers and pivots. So it looks good, great articulation, and it's stiff. Like you can hold a pose with this guy, but it's not highly posable. I would rate it like a 75% because some of these you just don't get as much posability, but I don't think I really need it with this guy. Looking at accessories, he does come with this beautiful purple sword, and here it is in his hand. That's what he looks like with his sword. He also comes with two more faces. So There's the two faces and the two rubber duckies. So then maybe that's a little bit better. Here he is next to an actual Grimlock. Now this is the McFans Toys K oversize of DX9, and so when they're going to make this guy into a Grimlock, so you can kind of see what you would get with that and how it does look a little bit different. They're just going to change the colors, and so it's not exactly going to be a G1 Grimlock, but it's, I can see where they see the stretch and how close it would be. Here it goes with that from the back. This still gets my vote for a G1 Grimlock. Actually, the one that has the gold chest is my preference. I don't know. I thought I was a Toon guy, but maybe I'm not. So for comparison, there he is next to Prime and Megatron. And I think that actually works pretty good for a Legends collector, collecting the Legends scale. That does work really well. It looks good to me, and it would look good for a Grimlock. Remember, this is going to be a Grimlock also. Here's New Age and Iron Factory, and I think they would work okay. I mean, just New Age is just so small. It's good, but small. It's good, but small. And with Transform Element and the size scaling, you know what? I bet you this is the whole idea behind Transform Element, and now ToyWorld jumping on the bandwagon. It's really interesting how there's very, very few companies making anything for the Beast Wars in Legend scale. And I bet you they're going to consider it Masterpiece scale.
It has all come down to this. The ultimate risk for the ultimate prize. A day of reckoning.
And he's a little bit shorter than a deluxe Wheeljack from Earthrise for $43, $45, something like that. $20. I think she's in the $40 range too. This has been the ToyWorld version, and the only version, of Beast Wars 2 Megatron. And I think it's a good, solid figure. In fact, I think they do really good work. ToyWorld makes a great constructor. ToyWorld's making a great this figure. I'm interested in what else they put out. But again, you're going to have to sit through 6 different rate colors of this probably before you get another Beast Wars figure from ToyWorld. If you like Beast Wars, especially if you're like me and your favorite part of Beast Wars is Transmetals, then this might be for you. Like, subscribe, pictures of a show Z. Thunderhanger out.